Hello, fellow scholars and purveyors of morbid curiosities alike. I'm Dr. Caleb, joined by the man who. This shit ain't nothing to him, man. Dr. Zach. And this is SCPod. Zach, how are you today?
Pretty good. I think we're both sick, so that's great. I'm not sure how I was going to vote for the season. We're just starting.
It is really interesting to be on the outside of this. I feel like I've ran into you maybe 5 to 6 times, and
Hmm.
like there was one time that you were like a 50-year-old man,
Hmm.
and I don't know. I have to wonder how this looks from you because like there's just you've met so many different Calebs.
Yeah, I think. No, I think I'm pretty sure you've been all the same. Like, I'm not sure what you're talking about, to be honest. Like, the more I think about what you just said to me, the less sense it makes.
Yeah, I don't really know either. But Zach, how do you feel about Hawaiian shirts?
Not a fan, to be honest. Not really a fan. I have one,
Oh,
but I only did it because I was trying to be a dick to a boss.
that's fair. That's fair. I recently came back from the Smithsonian, and I got
Hmm.
a really cool Hawaiian shirt, and I think it's going to be my entire personality from here on out.
So, an improvement.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's better than being the birthday boy all the time. You know.
Oh, unironically, happy birthday.
Yeah. You know what? I'm just gonna play this one off as one of your hijinks.
The listeners at home, the day we're recording this, and we're not going to tell you when, is actually Dr. Kale's birthday.
That's true. That's true. It is data expunged, and yeah, I guess so. Um, and what better way to spend my birthday than chumming it up with my old pal and yeah. Item number SCP-2191. Object class Keter, formerly Euclid. Special containment procedures are as follows. The Foundation is to maintain surveillance operation, but is otherwise not to directly interfere with SCP-2191 or the ritual practices of the communities within the vicinity of the Hoya Forest. Exploration of SCP-2191 is prohibited outside of remotely controlled drones. Foundation operatives are to maintain the facade of forest rangers in the employ of Romanian government. In the event of an SCP-2191 security breach by civilians or hostile entities, lethal force is authorized.
Description: SCP-2191 is a temple complex located within the dense Hoya forest of Romania. The first two floors of the structure hold a close resemblance to Eastern Orthodox monasteries commonly found in the region. This is suspected to have been a deliberate effort to disguise the true nature of 2191. Thracian and Dacian architecture have been both discovered in the lower levels of the temple complex, and artifacts belonging to Cucuteni Tripilian culture have been recovered from the system of tunnels that make up the lowest known portion of SCP-2191. The caverns of 2191 are not thought to have been formed naturally and were likely constructed around 4800 to 3000 BC. SCP-2191 is inhabited by a population of organisms classified as 2191-1. Instances of -1 are considered genetically human but have undergone several significant, seemingly fatal mutations. SCP-2191-1 lack all major internal organs, with the exception of the lungs, heart, and brainstem. The outer epidermis lacks pigmentation and displays a condition resembling cracked porcelain, possibly related to Harlequin syndrome. And entities appear androgynous, lacking or having somehow removed secondary sex characteristics. Their regressed eyes have been covered by a layer of skin, rendering them mostly blind, but still able to react to light, universally displaying aversion to wavelengths greater than 100 nanometers. Further deviations from baseline Homo sapiens include especially flat, upturned noses and funnel-shaped ears, both considered related to their dependency on olfactory and auditory perception. Dash ones do not appear to communicate via language, the only sound produced being a persistent clicking of the tongue, speculated to be a form of echolocation. Dash ones do not readily appear to undergo senescence and have not aged since containment. Further analysis has revealed an abnormally slow metabolism. SCP-2191-1's instances are not believed to be biologically immortal, but have significantly decreased rate of necrosis. SCP-2191-2 refers to a collective of vermiform organisms. These organisms vary in size, form, and purpose, and are accordingly classified as SCP-2191-2A, 2B, and 2C. Genetic analysis of SCP-2191-2 show close relation to fellow subgroups, their most recent common ancestors being Homo sapiens. It has been speculated that -2 did not naturally evolve on their own, but their true origin remains unknown. 2A instances superficially resemble petromyxantiforms, or lamprey, but whose internal structure more closely resemble Herunia, or leeches. Each -1 instance has a -2A instance within their abdomen, primarily located where the stomach and small and large intestines would exist. 2B instances are an infestation of vermiform organisms that live throughout the hollow walls of SCP-2191. 2191 appears to have been constructed with a system of channels through which SCP-2191-2B travel. These long, thin organisms will enter the -1 orifices primarily via the mouth or rectum, but do not appear to cause harm or discomfort to their hosts. -2B instances are believed to redistribute nutrients through 2191 proper, extracted from any -1 which has been recently fed. 2C, like 2B, inhabit their interior architecture of 2191. These tendril-like appendages are composed primarily of neurons and attached to the -1 at the base of the spine while inactive. Only when attached to 2C instances do 2191-1 display behavior resembling that of sentient organisms, including posturing suggestive of prayer. -1s are considered inactive while connected to a 2C instance. During an active state, -1 entities will leave SCP-2191 and aggressively hunt for living humans, ignoring non-human animals and deceased individuals. Active states do not occur simultaneously among -1s, although an active state will always occur between dusk and dawn, nor do they hunt as a pack, choosing to spread throughout the forest. A paralytic agent is often employed to disable their prey, injected via venom-delivering barbs located in the lower carpals of both hands. When prey has been successfully incapacitated, -1s will open its mouth and widen for its throat, unhinging its jaw in the process. -2A will then emerge from the -1's interior cavity, initiating the feeding process by latching the victim's neck via a toothed, funnel-like sucking mouth. 2A will inject the body with a digestive enzyme, liquidizing organ, muscle, and bone alike before consuming the resultant fluids. The process can last anywhere from 20 to 50 minutes, depending on the size of its prey. Although known to those living in the vicinity of the Hoya forest, SCP-2191 was not recognized by the Foundation as an anomaly until August of 1916, after an unexplained disappearance of 244 members of the Austro-Hungarian First Army during the Battle of Transylvania. Due to the First World War, the operations to contain the threat did not begin until early 1919. Without a source of food, -1 entities appeared to enter a dormant state as of December of 1924. Several instances occurring between 1932 and 1977 would result in the discovery of SCP-2191-3.
And I have a list of those incidents right here. On the 26th of September 1932 in Greece, the Erosos earthquake devastates the Chalkidiki Peninsula and results in 491 reported casualties. 126 individuals were unaccounted for, but the event was ultimately deemed non-anomalous, a connection to SCP-2191 established years later. Then, in December 26, 1939, in Turkey, the Erzincan earthquake results in the death of approximately 33,000 people. Locals report a great serpent rising from the ground at the onset of the earthquake. The Foundation begins to investigate the region. Zach, I'm starting to sense some things from our past coming to light here.
You don't say.
November 10th, 1940, Romania. An earthquake strikes Vrancea. Casualties are low. Civilians report, quote, vampire attacks in wake of the disaster. Media outlets publicly dismissing the claim as superstition. Then, in March 18th, 1953, in Turkey, the Yanis Genen earthquake causes widespread damage, killing over 1,000 people. Several survivors report seeing the, quote, arm of an octopus rupture from the earth. Civilians report, quote, pale men attacking survivors in the night. Reports ceasing after approximately 1 month after the disaster. Then, in July 26, 1963, in Macedonia, the Skopje earthquake kills over 1,000 people and renders 200,000 homeless. Approximately 500 would go missing in wake of the disaster. Reports of, quote, pale men in the nights are common. And finally, March 4th, 1977, in Romania, the Vrancea earthquake kills over 1,500. However, only 800 bodies are accounted for. Reports of, quote, pale men and tendrils pulling victims beneath the ground. Panic spreads throughout the region. Foundation operatives are able to confirm a connection to SCP-2191.
And then continuing
Only took
on.
40 years.
Only took 40 years. That's pretty good by our standards. And then continuing on, we get to a note concerning SCP-2191-3. SCP-2191-3 is an organism whose core is located deep beneath SCP-2191. Its true size has proven difficult, if not entirely impossible to measure, but root-like appendages extend throughout the area of approximately 660,000 square kilometers. SCP-2191-3 secretes a highly corrosive substance which is employed in the creation of tunnels throughout the Balkan Peninsula. -3 is sapient and exerts control over SCP-2191-1 and -2 organisms via physical interaction with the -2C instances, and through the release of complex pheromones. SCP-2191-1 entities, through the use of -2A and 2B, act as feeder drones for -3. It has been discovered that civilians native to several isolated villages in the vicinity of Hoya Forest have been actively providing human sacrifices to 2191 as a means of minimizing seismic activity. And then included in this entry is a audio log, which we will play now. Forward. Draga Negrescu is a village elder and midwife, 96 years of age, from Romania. She has proven knowledgeable with regards to the folklore and traditions associated with SCP-2191, and claims to be a descendant of the Solomonari. Interview conducted in Daso-Romanian. Begin log. What can you tell me about the temple?
It is where Mother resides. Like a queen, she sends her faithful bees to collect nectar. Like good beekeepers, we help the hive flourish. As you now know, it is best for all that we be allowed to continue our sacred duty.
Who is the mother?
The mother was once a princess, the most beautiful daughter of the Blood Empress, the great Karcist, sorcerer, king of Adatum, sought to conquer her as he did the domain of the Blood Empress. He claimed her, as was his right, and she became his favored concubine. In time, she came to worship the great Karcist, just as we who hold the old ways do. She begged to bear his children, and the great Karsus blessed her with his sacred seed. The mother swelled with joy and life. Here she was planted, and here she grew. We, like the pale ones, must keep her fat and satisfied. The pale spew the nectar into her many mouths, and her brood suckle upon her teats and grow strong. The mother and the land are now one. Her earthen womb swells, and soon she will rupture. All around you is tinder for the gods.
End log.
God damn it, Zach! We got back to Sarkicism.
We can.
All roads lead back.
We can't escape meat Jesus.
Oh God. Okay. Well,
It is him, Caleb. It's always been him.
okay. Well, time to risk my life and the life of everybody listening, and read a statement from the O5 Council.
Cue the music.
Yeah, Hatman, if you could just go take a seat over there real quick.
Yeah. What's up, bud?
There are some who wish to believe that the Foundation has never, nor will ever, cater to the design and desires of an anomalous entity. Foundation's efforts to contain SCP-2191 are now thought to have inadvertently led to the deaths of approximately 40,000 over 45 years. The obvious choice would be to neutralize the threat. And we've tried. The number of civilian and Foundation casualties being well beyond acceptable numbers. In order to contain the larger threat, we must allow it to feed. We are aware of the offense caused by this procedure. This is not the first time, nor will it be the last, that the Foundation has been forced to commit a lesser evil in prevention of a greater. We do believe that, in the end, our current method is the most preferable, with regards to both ethics and efficiency. We are fully aware that every sacrifice feed SCP-2191-3, allowing it and its brood to thrive. But we are not about to sacrifice the entire Balkan Peninsula to neutralize that threat. Not yet.
Inspiring.
A couple footnotes here, just before we get into Zach and I freaking out over a mention of Sarkicism in the year of our Lord 2026. So...
Is it 2026 already? I thought it was just like September.
It is the 21st night of September.
Do you remember?
So, kind of skipping over here, we have something now known to be a proto-Sarkic sect. It remains debatable whether modern practitioners should be considered true Solomonari. An event of what has been learned at a different SCP. Modern practitioners are located in isolated pockets throughout the Carpathians, with little to no connection with one another. The religion, in its current state, is an amalgam of local folk traditions and Solomonari blood rituals.
I'm not familiar with Solomonari.
I'm familiar with salmon?
No.
No? Okay. I'm familiar with Solomon Grundy.
Solomon Grundy, born on a Sunday.
I'm not very familiar, but familiar enough due to things that happened in my path with salmonella.
So yeah, back to Sarkism. I think we talked about something. I feel like this is vaguely related to what I think we...
Don't say it. Don't call it Blood Brother.
What is it? Blood of the Dragon?
Yeah, Blood of the Dragon.
We had a weird Mandela effect happen with that fucking episode. And I can never remember which is the one that's actually called or the one that we accidentally called it.
Okay, so Zach, I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm a dumb American.
Yeah.
Where is the Balkan Peninsula?
It's where Greece, Albania, Macedonia, Hungary, Bulgaria are.
Is Russia, or parts of Russia in there?
Not really. Russia's more north and east. To give you an idea, if you know where Ukraine is, it is
Yeah.
south and west of that.
Okay. Okay. So the reason I ask is, I feel like we could have boiled all of SCPod season 3 down to this one article, minus the flesh that hates.
Um, Not really. I feel like this 2191 is a very interesting version of sarcasm. Most it feels like within kissing cousins of like Our Land, Our Bondage, because
Yes.
of the underground temple there. Um, but
And a
also
priestess.
and a priestess, but also like a little bit of unfinished ritual tossed in there for good measure.
Yeah.
Um,
I guess that was in Massachusetts.
we don't talk about Massachusetts on this show.
True.
Um, but yeah, I like the idea of this underground hive mind. It gives like it kind of reminds me of like a Zerg or like Tyranid infestation, calling to like StarCraft or Warhammer 40k lore specifically. And that's always going to be kind of an interesting thing, like these non-human human invasion from beneath. And the idea that, because historically the Balkans feature prominently earthquakes and seismic activity as part of their local folklore and tradition. Like Poseidon, specifically in Greek mythology, was a god heavily associated with earthquakes and his displeasure.
Mm-hmm.
And even today, like Greece and Turkey, which are two countries that don't like each other very much, have agreements that they will help each other out with earthquakes and the resulting fallout, just because it's something that they both have to deal with.
Yeah.
And so there's this weird commonality in terms of like just regional identity, because you have the collision of like the European plate, the African plate, it's not too far away, and then the Asian plate, tectonic plates, all kind of coming up and creating those mountains.
Yeah. I'm still just like whirlwinding over the fact that we decided to do a season based off of like horror identities, and the most horrifying thing of all is that we have a callback to a previous season. And
Hey,
if
we
you, dear listener, would like to also partake in the horror of SCPod season 6, you can listen to SCPod season 3 to get that full package.
Yeah, we did a deep dive, a season long deep dive into sarcasm, which was I think was personally interesting. It was definitely a lot of work, but it was interesting to deep dive and really get into the meat of something. But I'm bummed. It was, yeah, it was interesting. It also kind of calls back into more of the folklore of the region as well, because the Carpathian Mountains, the Balkans, the Balkan Peninsula in general, has a long tradition of just like particularly horrifying monsters, and you have all these like dramatic landscapes of deep forests, high mountains, and like secluded valleys and ravines, which makes it really easy to wonder what's really going on in the next valley over.
Yeah. It also reminds me, Zach, are you familiar with Expedition Unknown?
I don't think so.
So it's a Josh Gates program. You know who Josh Gates is?
No.
Josh Gates is he's like a Discovery Channel guy. But he basically has like he goes and travels the world to go like learn folklore and culture and stuff like that. And he has a couple different shows. Expedition Unknown's like mythology based, so it's like finding King Arthur's like tomb and stuff like that, and seeing if there is like weight to these folklore and legends and stuff like that. And reading this reminds me he did an episode in Romania based off of vampires, and like he actually had like interviewed people that like wholeheartedly believe these legends and stuff like that. And it was a really interesting episode. I big recommend of I believe it's called Expedition Unknown. He has another one The other one's called Destination Truth, and that one's based off of cryptids. That one's just kind of goofy, but Expedition Unknown is a really cool show, and it reminded me of that. So big recommend over here.
Yeah, cool. I'll have to check into that. This talk of worms as well as part of the whole guise of vampirism also reminds me a lot of the Strain.
I'm not familiar with The Strain.
The Strain was a comic then later adapted into a TV show for FX about sort of like this weird cross between zombie and vampire mutation that was caused by these parasitic worms. And so like the actual mechanism for the vampirism were these worm parasites or these worm-like organs that would shoot out of the vampire's mouth. Almost like a bobbit worm. If anyone wants to be horrified, they can Google bobbit worms. As well as in the blood, they had like these like little nematode like worms in their blood, which were all like pale and stuff like that. But specifically, their mutations were the same. But I feel like that also feeds off the bat iconography, where with an upturned nose, or in some cases the whole thing falling off, and the elongation of ears, and then mutation of hands, and more troglodytic mutations in general.
Interesting. Okay. You know, thinking about vampires and stuff like that. First of all, skeleton supremacy. Let me just put that out there.
Oh, absolutely.
But have you noticed that like zombies and vampires are kind of interchangeable in certain like instances of pop culture? I'm thinking stuff like is it 28 Weeks Later? And things like that, where like a vampire is just like a zombie. For all intents and purposes, they look similar enough. It's just the vampire has an aversion to light.
I don't know. Are you talking about like, what is it? Something Days of Night.
Oh yeah. That's probably what I'm thinking of. Not 28 Weeks Later.
Yeah, because like I remember
like 30 Days of Night. 30 Days of Night.
30 Days of Night. I haven't watched that movie in a long time, but like the vampires in that movie are sentient, and definitely have like strains of individualism.
Okay.
But you're not entirely off. I don't think you're entirely wrong, because like there are vampires in fiction which are presented as more animalistic, less put together, like less Count Dracula and more like, more like a zombie or just like a animalistic predator. And I think like those are touching on this idea that you lose the idea or thing that makes you Caleb and more becomes just the animal that you happen to be.
Right. They took your humerus out.
Which we all know is where the soul is stored.
No. Soul stored in the phalanges. It's just the humerus. Taking the humerus out is how you control the skeleton.
So for the phalanges, if you lose both hands and both your feet, are you no longer human?
I would argue that.
Landmine victims, write in. Tell Dr. Caleb he's wrong. But no, it's just this callback to like losing the idea of you in service of like the beast that we are beneath that. Or this idea of people preying on each other, because there's a lot to be said about the metaphors of vampirism being as a stand-in for the relationship between like aristocrats or the wealthy and the rest of the rest of us schmucks who have to work for a living, because they are literally feeding off us to feed their power and their influence.
Interesting. Zach, I'm gonna pose a question to you.
Okay.
Since we're talking a lot about callbacks and things like that, one thing I asked a lot during the Sarkic seasons: how does this play into the greater Sarkic picture? And I want to hear what you have to say in regards to this, because this seems like a pretty big fucking thing, a pretty big fucking deal when it comes to Sarkicism. Yeah,
and if any listeners are still here from the Sarkic season, they really recall a lot of the discussion between Neo-Sarkism and Proto-Sarkism, where proto-sarcasm focused a lot on this idea of communalism, groupness, losing the idea of individualism in service of the whole, the whole body of the population as an organism, and neo-sarcasm being more about individual power grabbing, which is the whole point of like an unfinished ritual, because all those people wanted to be powerful, right?
Right.
And whereas opposed to Our Land, Our Bondage, which was about the community and the worship of the actual ideas of, the Grand Karcist, as it were. This is definitely, I feel, more in line in proto-sarcasm, where it has this idea of the villages in the Hoya Forest sacrificing members of their own bodies of the village to appease this organism that controls the earthquakes, like tossing a virgin into a volcano, so to speak. And I feel like it's definitely in line with that, with some of like other traditional folk influences. I feel like there might even be some like vague Daevite influences here with regards to the audio log referencing the mother, the Empress, being married off, or some otherwise given to the Sorcerer King of Adatum, which was what was his name? I forget his name, but
Ion.
Yeah, Grand Cross Ion. And so I feel like it definitely taps more into the proto-Sarkic's lack of individualism, more about communalism, even down to the monsters themselves, where they are all these drones, the Dash 1 instances being these drones which are sent out to grab food, nutrients, and sustenance to bring back to the whole that feeds and controls them.
Yeah. I'm also getting kind of flashbacks to... I'm pretty sure we talked about during an unfinished ritual. Maybe it was a footnote or something like that, but that they were looking into maybe unfinished ritual being a form of 2191 Dracula Factory, or like the early stages of it.
I don't know. Unfinished Ritual, my understanding of when we read that is that they were trying to summon Ion, or were inadvertently trying to summon Ion.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because...
I'd have to go back and look. I vaguely remember us talking about Dracula Factories at some point during the Sarkic season.
Yeah, I think that was during Our Land, Our Bondage, because of that underground temple. That, and also during Blood of the Dragon, specifically, because they take place in roughly the same area.
So, also speaking of all those connections and everything, are we to believe that during some of the list of incidents that locals report a great serpent rising from the ground? Are we to believe that Yaldabaoth was being manifested?
I don't know, but I mean, my reading of it, I thought it was regarding the Dash 3 tentacles. But I mean, the Dash 3 tentacles probably are a good analogy to the idea of a physical manifestation of Yaldabaoth. But that also raises more, like, ecclesiastical questions of theology for Sarkists. Because Yaldabaoth was killed or, like, was dueled with the Ion, and I believe that's the case with the that red pool in Siberia.
Right.
Which is something we'll get to eventually someday, but consider this a fun Easter egg for everyone playing along at home.
Yeah. No. As much as I'm memeing on the fact that we've already talked about Sarkicism to death, but like it is really fun to have that foundation of knowledge to like kind of do the Leonardo DiCaprio like snap and point at the screen.
Oh, and it's worth pointing out that even though we did a whole season on Sarkics, we could do several more seasons and still have more to talk about.
Yeah.
It'll be. I think we've talked about doing a theme season again at some point, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But no, I like
the Shark Punching Center.
Yeah, the Shark Punching Center. But it's it's useful to have a good callback and references on hand to talk about. Just because we run across cases like this where we have a whole like 7 episodes to draw on, full of connections of both Neo and Proto-Sarkicism.
Yeah. Zach, what's your favorite kind of vampire in fiction? Like, if you had to point to like your favorite vampire. That is not a random homeless guy that Filthy Frank found.
Well, I mean, that is de facto my favorite vampire. Yeah, it really is him. But I will say, like, my favorite kind of vampire is probably not surprising to you, Caleb. But I'm a huge fan of Vampire the Masquerade.
Oh, yeah.
And I like the idea of vampires as, like, being supernaturally much more powerful than humans, but also being the most catty and messy bitches to ever not live. Because that is the entire point of Vampire the Masquerade, where, like, they put themselves on a pedestal as, like, the unseen kings of the world, the power behind the throne, but are, like, the most messy, chaotic mess of a species and civilization that ever was. They are just, like, these cats that are all just trying to desperately hurt themselves and are failing at every turn. Because, like, they can destroy things so easily, but they can't really figure out how to build well, and they're still trying. Right. But, like, nothing in their psyche or physiology really allows for it.
Yeah.
Your turn.
You know, I've been rewatching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I should say, I started JoJo's Bizarre Adventure years ago, but I only got, like, halfway through the second part. And, like, not even finishing season 1. And I've been rewatching it recently, and there's some good vampires in there. Dio is a really fun character. But I think, actually, the Castlevania anime is actually my favorite depiction of vampires.
Okay.
Maybe it's just, like, a fondness for that show in general, but, like, I remember really enjoying all the vampires. Like, Dracula was cool and everything like that, but, like the actual, like, group of vampires that like accompanied him and things like that, that was a lot of fun too.
Yeah, I like their interactions with Dracula specifically, and you see a little bit of that Vampire the Masquerade in this, because, like, none of them are actually very good at working with each other.
Right.
Because they're all predators of their area and are used to being, like, the most powerful thing, but now they're, like, in their god's castle. Like, I'm specifically thinking about the interaction between the Viking vampire and Dracula.
Right.
Where,
God,
like,
I need to go rewatch that show.
Where Dracula's just like, what the fuck do you want? And then you get to see his shit get wrecked by that one Forge Master. Whose name I can't remember, which is a shame because he's, like, the coolest character of that show for me.
Yeah. There are so many cool characters in that show. I really need to go rewatch it. I mean, just, like, the entrance of, do you know who the fuck I am? I'm Trevor fucking Belmont. Like,
so I occasionally will make my own memes to send out friends, and that is one I've done, like, several times, where I'll screen cap that part, and where he's saying, like, I'm Trevor fucking Belmont, and I'll put, like, a caption that says things you say when you're Trevor fucking Belmont. I'll have to find it and send it to you, but, like, that's one of my favorite things to do. It's just, like,
I'm gonna do that. Only I'm gonna, like, take your logo and put it over his face, and it's gonna say, "I'm roll for fucking writing."
Oh no! Don't do that. That'd be bad. Do it.
But yeah, this is a really interesting SCP. Like the eyes popping out of my head at all the psychic things kind of blinded me to it, but this is just like, hey, this is a big fucking problem.
It is, because, I mean, like, it's an organism, like, the -3 organism is capable of creating earthquakes throughout an entire region of, the world. And then also deploying an army of vampiric drones. And then you also have microbial threats in the -2 instances.
Right. Which I'm not gonna lie, my eyes kind of glazed over at 2A, 2B, and 2C. I
Yeah.
understand that there's some stuff going on there, but
Yeah,
that's
it's the D class problem.
well, we have a running theme on this show of like, hey, we should research this a lot more. I don't think we need to research this part of it anymore. Like, I think we've gone deep enough.
Deep up on the what?
Like the microbial things that are the 2As, 2Bs, and 2Cs. Like, I think we have hit the point where like we can say that we have researched far enough into the instance when we can start understanding how it feeds and like the chemical processes of it all.
Well, I mean, like if we discover a new type of worm in there, it's going to be a 2D.
I typically like my worms to be 3D.
Well, I mean, there's nothing stopping them from being time worms and going full 4D.
But,
What do you got to say to that, Carlson?
oh, we're just doxing me. Okay.
I'm pretty sure like both of our names are just out there now.
Yeah, I actually surprisingly don't have a lot to say about this. I feel like a lot of the discussion that we would have about this was already done during the Sarkic season.
Mm-hmm.
But this is interesting. I remember you talking about Dracula factories. It's been something that's been on our docket for a while.
Mm.
But this lives up to the hype.
Yeah, I mean, it is a giant underground organism with an army of parasites that can summon earthquakes.
Yeah.
And then you have an O5 saying, like, there may come a time where we have to, like, euthanize the Balkan Peninsula.
Yeah, we're gonna have to fucking nuke the shit out of the Balkan Peninsula.
And so, I mean, like, it does the thing where it stops on the edge of a question. Like, how far do you go to stop this?
Right. I guess one thing that we can kind of go into is, like, this quote-unquote mother figure. Like, are we to believe that she is, like, overseeing this -3 instance?
Well, I think the -3 instance is the mother.
Oh.
Like, if we look up, if we pull up the transcript of what of the log, it is like where Draga says the mother was once a priestess, the most beautiful daughter of the Grand Blood Empress. Blah 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 blah. He claimed her as was his right, and she became his favorite concubine. In time, she came to worship the Grand Karsus as just as who he holds the bubble ways. She bared his children. The mother swelled with joy and life. And then the pale ones, the -1 instances must keep her fat and satisfied. The pale spewed the nectar into her many mouths, and her broods suckle upon her teeth and grow strong, which I think are some of the -2 instances.
Yeah, yeah.
And then like that last line of the mother and the land are now one. Her earthen womb swells, and she will soon rupture. And so I think that's directly referencing -3 being the mother, and then her connection to the -1 instances, as well as a rather alarming implication that they're making more of them.
Okay. I 100% agree. I hate when you're right, but I agree. I read the first line of what can you tell me about the temple, and I was like, oh no, she can't be the 660 square mile fucking thing.
No,
she has to fit in a temple.
Well, I think what we're talking about here is like the idea of religious metaphor being used to explain an idea.
Right.
And in this case, religious metaphor is used to explain the cyclopeanly large organism that creates, underground vampires.
Yeah. Isn't it just so crazy that, like, there can be a living organism this big? Not even the Dracula factory, but, like, isn't there, like, a thing in the PNW that's, like, a giant fungal
thing?
Yeah,
the humongous fungus. It is, which is what it's called. It's in eastern Oregon, in the in the mountains, literally in the northeastern part of the state, where you have like several hundred square kilometers of just mushrooms that are all technically the same organism, just because of the way the underground connections are made. Because yeah, that's all that's mostly like aspen and like pine forests.
Yeah.
Yeah, the humongous fungus, and so like yeah, you can have an organism, a single technical organism that is that large, in the same way that like you would have multiple cells, fats, enzymes, bacteria that are part of like a regular organism like you or I.
Right. Yeah, it's really insane because when you think of like living things and like how big living things are, you think of like the blue whale, right?
Right, but like
that's a big guy.
Right, but in this case, we're talking about an ant colony.
Right.
Whereas, like, the -3 is the queen, so to speak, maybe in a literal sense here. Where in the -1s and the -2s are, like, drones and workers and soldier ants.
That's crazy. It's just so mind-blowing to think about something like that.
Yeah, I mean, the only difference between this and a bug colony is just the size of the critter.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, and that and that the termite mound is a living, breathing thing.
Well, the termite mound is the Balkan Peninsula. The thing in the termite mound is what we need to be worried about.
Fair.
Yeah, I could probably go on for a good minute about this thing just because of all the little implications and just the way other things it connects to. But I think in a good summation that this is a really good example of a protosarkic offshoot that connects neatly to other versions of protosarchism, a la Blood of the Dragon and then Our Land, Our Bondage. Comprising threats that are both macrobiological and scale in terms of -1 and -2, but also microbial, kind of similar to what we saw in what was it called? What was the one with the old dude?
The Way of All Flesh.
Yeah, the Way of All Flesh in terms of the -2s. So just running the whole biological spectrum.
It is interesting because looking over the article again, it's kind of saying that the Salmonari are now considered a protosarkic sect. So this like group of people are now like just a protosarkic sect.
Yeah, and I don't know what the Salmonari are.
Yeah. It's also interesting the implications of this all because like, one of the big thing with Our Land, Our Bondage is the whole underground everything to do with that. But if you remember, the Foundation was ran out of that area when thousands of people came running down from the mountains. And we were like, wait, hang on. This is like a small village of like maybe 60 people. Like there's all this underground stuff. But if this Dracula factory is like kind of not just a one and done thing, like if the -3 is like one thing, but then there's like another sect of this stuff happening in Russia where like the tunnels of the Flesh That Hates are, and the tunnels underneath Our Land, Our Bondage, and stuff like that. Like, maybe this is just like a sarkic thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely coming up a lot. So, I mean, we can just assume that, some form of underground productivity is part of the culture, I guess.
I guess so. They like to dig holes.
Dig a tunnel. Dig before the hyenas come.
I appreciate that reference.
Are we the hyenas? Time may tell.
But, yeah, I don't have too much more to say about this. I cede the floor to you if you'd like to continue, but...
No, I think I'm pretty good to leave it here. I mean, we'll probably talk about sarcasm more as things goes on, just because it's really dense. There's more to it.
Yeah, and there's a lot there. It is interesting. You and I have said off camera before that like it was exhausting to do, but like this is interesting. This is interesting stuff. There's a reason that we chose Sarcasm as our first GOI. Like,
Yeah.
meat magic is kind of cool.
Meat magic is kind of cool.
Being a meat bender is like top 5 things I want to bend.
Giggity goo.
Yeah, number 3 is my lovely co-host.
Ah.
Anyway, Zach, did you see our new post orders?
No.
I don't know how to say this, but I think we're going. Zach, we were assigned to the Gate Guardian.
We can't even talk about that. I think they're just trying to kill us now.
Zach, let's be honest. They've always been trying to kill us.
But now they're really trying to kill us.
Really like to think that, like, after the new hire orientation and we got ran out, I like to think that we're just constantly wanted fugitives.
I mean, maybe, but I mean, like, it's a step up to send us to fucking Uriel.
Yeah. So, folks, we're gonna do what we can. We're gonna try and do coverage of it, but this is an O1 proposal we're talking about. Or maybe we'll talk about it. Depends on if the many hat men in our lives gun us down before we're able to talk about it. But yeah, look forward to that. Zach, we have a bunch of research we got to do before we even think about this guy.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do a whole thing. It's gonna be, might be a whole season. We don't know.
Yeah. Hopefully you'll be out of your time loop because I don't want to go through this alone.
What time loop?
So, in the meantime, Zach, where can people find you?
They can find me over on my casual blog of Roll for Writing, which is located at www.makeawritingcheck.blogspot.com. They can find my published work out there, Tales from Port Aster, wherever it is you buy ebooks, so Amazon. I usually point people towards either Barnes & Nobles or Smash Words, but you can buy it basically everywhere. And then you can also follow me over on Blue Sky at Roll for Writing. You should see my logo, and I'm also on Facebook as well as you can probably find me on Instagram. I don't know anymore. Yeah.
And I do want to quickly put in there. I recently was flying to Richmond, Virginia, and I opened up my phone and I read Zach's book front to back, and it is just a damn good read.
Well, thank you.
And I know I've shilled it a few times, but definitely go check it out. Zach did a very good job with it. And that's not me just saying it as his friend and co-host and possibly future enemy, but like as just like a good piece of writing. Go check it out. Go read it. It's $1. It's like $2 or something like that.
It is $2.99 because I had an existential crisis whether it would say it was lower quality if I gave it away for free or charged $1.
Exactly. So, like $3, and it'll stick with you for a little bit. It has not left my head. Anyway, enough about Zach. You can find me at Calica on YouTube. That's all I got. Where I do all sorts of content. I will hopefully have more stuff coming up in the.
You have an entire Yu-Gi-Oh channel.
I do, but yeah, I want to branch out and do other things. I just haven't had the time to really do it. and yeah, so I want to do like music reviews and stuff like that, and yeah, so keep an eye on it. I would like to keep that going. But
Also,
anyway.
just while we're plugging stuff, we recently just changed our logos, and we'll be getting new thumbnail art for a lot of the episodes.
Yes,
And
so look forward to that.
Yeah, it's all being done by Brack Does Art. You can follow them over on Instagram.
Yes, yes. And you'll start to see our thumbnails start to change. They're doing a really good job with that, and just good stuff, good stuff. So you can also follow the podcast at SCPod.cast on Instagram or SCPod_cast on Twitter, and also on Blue Sky at SCPod. We are available on a bunch of different platforms, including Spotify, YouTube, Podcast Addict, Pandora, iHeartRadio, all sorts of different things. We've branched out, and we've been seeing a lot of growth. And yeah, I mean, I could go on and on, but I do that every episode. So yeah. Please remember to like, rate, follow, subscribe, comment. Any interaction is good interaction in terms of growth for the channel. We are super grateful for the growth that we do have, and yeah, we're just super looking forward to seeing what comes next and everything like that. So yeah, that's about all I got. Woo. And yeah, look forward to whatever the fuck that we are doing next. Yeah. Who knows anymore? But yeah, Dr. Zach, what kind of Dracula flow do you have for us this time?
Stand by for the ship of Theseus, but it's bones!
Wait, hang on, I actually like that one.
Bye.
All right. See ya.